To our brothers and sisters in the American Southeast dealing with the effects of Hurricanes Helene and Hurricane Milton, and to those in the Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming, we are here for you. We are praying for you. Help is on the way. We are also praying for our friends in Mexico who are dealing with the effects of Hurricane John in the Acapulco area. The Scene Projects are brought to you by these fine sponsors. List with Linda B. Cufflinks.com. J.H. & Sons Menswear. Kathmandu Campground and RV Park in Sturgis, South Dakota. The Den. Sioux Falls' newest live music venue at 909 Northwest Avenue in Sioux Falls. Sunny Radio and SiouxFallsPodcast.com. Welcome into a very exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is singer-songwriter Bryan Copeland. Bryan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Well, we didn't get to run into each other while we were out there at the Wild West Songwriters Festival, but I know that you were out there in Deadwood. You were also a recent guest on the Songwriter Showcase in Sioux Falls. Before we get into what you've been up to, can we get a little bit of who you are and what you do?
Well, my name's Bryan Copeland, of course, as we've already said. I'm from the Springfield, Missouri area. I originally was born in St. Louis, like the St. Louis region as well. And I've been doing music for about 14 years in some capacity or another. I would say as a solo artist like I am now, I've been doing that for the last 5 or 6, to where that's like my primary side of the music scene. And I do a lot of cover shows as well as original shows. I have about 3 hours of original music that I've written over the span of the time that I've been playing music. Sorry, I'm walking out with my dog.
Hey, the dog's got to walk, man.
All the car noise.
Yeah, we understand.
But yeah, it's been great, man. I've explored music a lot on my own and done a lot of different styles and vibes, and like I had a band for a long time, for about 10 years, called Luna J, and we played, I would say it was more of like a funky kind of bluesy kind of alternative vibe. I was kind of leaning more towards like a pop kind of style back then, where I was kind of pushing more dance style music and stuff like that. Not like dance, but you know what I mean? Like
some Bruno, some stuff
funk
like
kind
that.
of pushing stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. And I did that for a long time, and we tried a lot of different stuff. We did jam band kind of stuff. I've just written a lot of different styles of music over the years, and since I've been a solo artist, it's been really cool because I can kind of explore kind of whatever I want to do, and just not have anybody telling me like, hey, like this doesn't make sense for us or whatever. And so it's given me a lot of opportunity to explore that. And a lot of the singles that I released over the years have been very different from each other. So if you go listen, you might be like, this is the same guy. But this is the first actual album that I'm putting out as a solo artist that like has a style that I'm putting out right now. So I'm really excited about that. So
awesome. So you got a new album. You got a name for it yet?
Yeah, it's called Whiskey Will Never Leave Me.
Okay.
And that's the one. It's also the title of one of the tracks on the album. So that's the title track. And that's the first one on
funny enough, Bryan, I was editing your Songwriter Showcase episode today, and I'm pretty sure I heard that one. So
I'm sure you probably did. Yeah. I definitely played it.
I think
all
I
three
had
of them on that. So.
I think I had it stuck in my head on my walk this afternoon. Well, that's great, man. So you got some new music. You were telling me off camera that this is kind of a country album, although you say obviously you play everything. Hey, brother, I understand that. So I used to call my style rockabilly reggae funk. And
Yeah,
that was too much of a mouthful. So now I just call it modern gypsy rock. And that seems to get the point across, right?
It's really hard to describe sometimes, like whenever, if you like to do different stuff, and you're not kind of in a box, it's kind of hard to describe sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't get too far down like a hardcore funk, or really too heavy or anything like that. But I like to be a little funky. I like to have some groove. But a lot of what I write is southern rock-ish, country-ish, right? It's just the vibe that we do. I grew up in South Dakota. It would be hard for me to come out and without having deep roots in the funk world to feel like I wasn't faking that, right?
True.
So yeah, I understand that, and hey man, total respect to the creative freedom of being a solo artist as opposed to being in a band. My own band, Starts and Ends, is kind of just a rotating cast of characters for that same reason. Was that like I was never one to compromise my creative freedom. It was going to be what I kind of wanted to do, and I'm willing to listen to what it is, but I'm not here to have anyone else kind of put limitations on what I want to do, right?
Well, it was just always a thing where it was like, hey, like we should just be this like pop funk kind of thing. Like that's what's popular right now, or whatever,
Yeah. Or all the things that come with a band, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was cool with trying that. And like, I liked writing that for a long time. It's just, as a songwriter, and most of them weren't writing songs and contributing to the actual band in the moment. So it was mostly, they were trying to get me to write for them. And like, again, like nothing against that. Like, but it's just one of those things where it's like, well, then if I'm writing, why are you telling me what to write?
That's crazy, dude, because I've had that same thing in other bands, and not to trash guys that we're playing with or gals that we're playing music with and everything.
But hate at all.
No, and exactly. But like you said, as the songwriter, it's like, well, cool. If you want to play songs like that, or you think we should be playing song, then go write it, dude. Like you can't tell me what to write. That feels very like for me, the songwriting process is not like I sit down and write a funk song or I sit down and write this song. Like the song comes through me. So how can
that's what you're feeling in the moment.
Yeah. So how can you kind of tell me what to, or you should write in this style or only do this? And they would create tension. So 5-6 years ago, sorry, not to cut you off.
You're good.
5-6 years ago, you kind of get into going off on your own a little bit here, doing more of the solo thing. I'm sure, the 2019, 2020, that timeline probably forces some of these things into happening.
Most definitely.
Common theme on the show.
Yep.
So what, obviously we know what the impetus is for that, but are you able to kind of, take time, whether you're sequestered away at home or whatever your situation was during that time, were you able to really dig into your music and to cultivate, some new material or, just something new out of that time?
Oh, most definitely. So like I would say the thing that came out of that the most was my ability to have like a solo show that was like entertaining and different than somebody else. Like I do some stuff with like a looper, and that came out of that time. And I also do, a lot of just different kind of styles that I'm good at, that a lot of people just aren't good at, just pulling off multiple styles. And it's been a thing for me for a long time, and I figured out that was my niche, was being able to do what I wanted. I can play
not having one
song.
Yeah.
I can play a Will Smith song, and I can play a Johnny Cash song, and I can do them almost exactly like them.
Brother, there ain't nobody out there doing those two.
That's what I'm saying. And that's if you're going to come out and see me, you're going to get very random. Like it makes you want to stay for 3 hours.
If you do getting jiggy with it into Jackson, brother, you got a 20 out of me. I'm just saying right now.
I do getting jiggy with it with a looper, and I do all the parts of the song. And then I do Hurt by Johnny Cash.
Nice. That's incredible.
I'll do them the very, very similar stylistically.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that we're probably about the same age. I'm 38. I'm guessing you're right in that same range.
36, yeah.
Yeah. Just the song choices, right? Because it's kind of the same thing that I'm doing with my band, is to give you all of those hits from all those different generations, right? You're trying to appeal to these crowds that are from their early 20s to their 60s or 70s, right?
It's definitely partially that. It's, for me personally, it's more of these are things that like really influence me, and they're all very different.
Yeah.
But they all really personally influence me. And
Exactly.
I've never been somebody that, like, I don't learn a lot of songs for an audience. I learn songs for me.
Right.
And then I play them for an audience, and I realize, hey, like, the audience likes this, but
Right.
that's not like usually what is pushing what I'm trying to learn.
Well, and I realize, and it sounds like you've had a very similar experience to me, especially playing in bands. I've always had guys, well, we should play this song because that's what people like. And yes, there's plenty of songs that I play because people like, but if I don't like playing the song, people aren't going to like hearing me play the song either. So
Agreed.
I'm willing to throw out, the genres. For me, I didn't play a lot of 90s country, but I moved out to, a 1,000-person farm town where my wife grew up, and it became very apparent that you should probably learn some country, right? So it wasn't just, hey, this list of the top, 100 country songs of all time. Now, granted, some of these songs land on that list, but I play them because those are the songs I like to play. So nice. You got a dog fighting ring? It's going Michael Vick up in here real quick.
Yeah, no, I'm just walking around my neighborhood. There's just so many dogs.
That's awesome, right, man. Well, hey, now we know what your neighborhood's like there in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, you better watch out, man. Like you might get taken out. No, I don't know what it is about my dog either. I feel like all the dogs are like, ooh, yeah, look at that dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's funny, man. Well, and that's what's been fun. So a little backstory about us and everything, just because Ryan, you're fairly new to what we do, but we're members of the Midwest Country Music Organization as well, and that's kind of been our jumping off in our community that we like to bring new people into, and it provides a big network for us to spread out. A lot of us are living in Iowa, Minnesota, down into Missouri now, quite a few new members in South Dakota, and what we're doing is we're trying to pull ourselves all together and to not need the booking agents and the things to do that. We're all doing the same thing, right? Bryan, in some regards, me and you are the same person in different locations, right? Doing the same show, and there's hundreds, thousands of us out there doing it, and what we're doing is forming these connections so that we can keep doing it. We're very fortunate to have the wherewithal to record our conversations with our friends and to turn around and to post them and call it a podcast, whatever you will, but it really is just a community of artists and then the people who really want to support those artists. So we really appreciated having you out here in South Dakota. You really got the full gambit. You got to do our songwriter showcase at the Den here in Sioux Falls. You got to go experience something in one of our bigger communities. The Wild West Song Fest is a member itself of the org, and many of the people that were there are members of the org, right? So you got a great taste of it. Yeah, man. Well, and next year I think there needs to be more of an official capacity for that. That was kind of maybe a little of a miscue on our part. It was something that was brought up, but a little too late in the game. But next year, I mean, my goal is to really, as opposed to playing, I would rather have my podcast booth set up where everybody can just come in and I can sit down and literally talk to every single person for 5 to 10 minutes that weekend. I would be just as thrilled doing that as I was performing music for the people like we did at the rounds and everything, right? Like it was just as valuable to me to be there and to spend a little bit of time with all these amazing artists and to be inspired by them.
Oh, I love playing a festival like that where it's where everybody is kind of there, for those songs. They're not there to see a specific artist. They're not there for any of that. They kind of want to hear something different, something new. And so it's really cool to have people that hanging on every word. I don't know, as a songwriter, sometimes it's frustrating, especially since I've gotten into this more songwriter genre of like, a little more country leaning, kind of like very lyrically based, poetic kind of style of music. You spend a lot of time and energy on those words and the words that you use, and the amount of effort that you put into that, like sometimes does not go into the energy coming back to you. And something like that kind of festival, it's a beautiful thing to have that kind of energy exchange. And that's what I miss about how music has been kind of been going in the direction of, you just kind of being background music a lot of times when you get hired for gigs or whatever else. There's something that's really cool that you can just like that. People are really there just to hear something new and something that they'd never heard before. So
right. Well, and we're very fortunate in our community. We have the Queen City Songwriter Invitational, which happened in September. We have the Montrose Folk Festival, which is in July. We have the Sioux River Folk Festival. We just got a ton of stuff going on in South Dakota here that is supporting those things. But I think you're right. I think there's always room for more of these style events, just for the value to the songwriter themselves. Those good feelings can carry you through a whole summer of being ignored in the corner, right?
Oh, I mean, truly. I mean, it's also just like it's just a thing where it's like, I don't think people understand that either, with the ups and downs of being in this industry and doing what we do. The highs and lows are very, 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 very different than each other.
Can I give you an example? So last summer, I had booked, we're very fortunate. We have like a 3,000 to 5,000 seat outdoor amphitheater called the Levitt in Sioux Falls. We've been invited the last 3 summers to come back and play. This year it was opening up for Armchair Boogie, who's a Midwest newgrass band. A great fit for us, great spot for us to be in, right? So I know I'm playing this big show, and it's on a Friday night, and the crowd's going to be huge, and it's 45 minutes of original music, and me knowing that I don't want to get too big of a head, I booked myself in Minneapolis the next weekend, where I have no name, I don't know anybody, I'm not doing anything, and yeah, Sunday was Father's Day, and I think we went to the baseball game up in Minneapolis there, and then went to a show and played for 5 people, right? So went from playing that 5,000 seater packed, best show of the summer by far, and literally 2 days later playing for 5 people on a rooftop in Minneapolis where nobody knows you. And I did that to myself on purpose because I want to remember that struggle. I want to remember that struggle every single day. I want to remember playing the empty rooms and to doing I want to do it. But now I can kind of choose it, right? I don't need to play an empty room in the middle of Nebraska somewhere, right? I'll go play an empty room somewhere that I want to, and kind of pick and choose those spots.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of what we do too, is once you kind of get yourself established, especially, you can really kind of pick and choose like what kind of style of things you want to do when. Well, it took a long time for me to get there, but now that I am, like, I feel like it's really nice that I can do some things like that as well as the other gigs that I play.
Right,
so.
Yeah, because it fills your cup to be able to get it, to drag yourself through some of those gigs, right? And then some of the most beautiful moments can come from some of those empty gigs too, right? The 1 or 2 people you may be playing for may end up being extremely influential in your life sometime. Like, you don't know, and that's kind of why I play every show like it's the last one I'm ever going to have, Bryan. I don't give any less effort on those, but it's the times like this weekend, right, that give you that energy to dig deep, right? When you're up there and you feel like nobody's listening, you dig deep for that little bit of, oh man, that trip to Deadwood was so great. And it's those memories that give you that little boost, that carry you through. And no, I don't think anyone who's not an artist will ever understand that.
Yeah, it's just a whole different mindset. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy I don't know. I don't really know how to describe that mindset. It's just like a very different kind of style of thing than anything I've ever had to do before. I was a very competitive baseball player for my whole life until I got to college. I had a shoulder injury, wasn't able to pitch anymore, but very competitive, played very high level baseball for a very long time. And like it's just not even close to like the mental struggle that music is. Like, nothing like that is like don't really know how to describe it to people whenever they don't.
Because and I played sports too. I didn't play at a high level. I mean, it's safe to say, Bryan, and just looking at you, I mean, you're an alpha. You're a man's man, right? You're a big dude. You're a big guy. You know,
I don't know if I consider myself that, but
an athlete, right? It's easy for us to. I am too, man. It's easy for us to go out there and to do hard things, to do physical things. It's not easy to go out and lay your soul out there for everyone night after night after night. And if you've been in this now doing it full time, brother, that's when you're really laying it out there, because now it's not only, and now it's your living. It's you're putting, pardon my French, your balls on the line every single day. Really? Your reputation, your everything. Sports cannot compare to that. I think it can train us to be very good. And I've had some good conversations with my buddy Jordan Beam on the show about it. That sports can prepare you for what it takes to make it in music, up to the point of the disappointment. If you've always been on championship teams and you've never experienced the bite of defeat, being a musician will frickin' humble you, man. It will humble you again and again and again and again. But it's that
every weekend.
Yeah, man. But it's truly that, and the coming back after that. That's the mentality, right? That's the never say die, the never quit that we have, and that it takes to make it in this business, man. It ain't like it used to be in the 50s and 60s where, you got one song and a look and we're going to take you and put you out there. And even through the 90s, God help all the artists they're finding in, the hip hop world and what they went through to try and make it. But, that whole old system's gone. And now music is only for the people that want to work their asses off for it.
There's just so much when it comes to like oversaturation of the market, in the respect of like, there's musicians releasing things everywhere, every day, millions and millions of songs are released all the time. And it's just like, it's so hard to be heard anymore. Like, no matter how good you are, it's just hard to get to a point where like people actually hear you
on a grand scale. I will agree, right? On that big, massive radio, everybody's like in the 80s where it seemed like every band in LA, you couldn't kick a freaking can down the street without hitting a band that was going to be on the radio, right? And that's what I said. That model's gone, but there's people out there that want to hear your song, right? And now it's just a different thing. So I listened to a show called Creative Juice, and then they have Indiepreneur, which if you're an independent musician, I'm sure you've bumped paths with their programs out there a little bit, the buddy system, things like this. It's all about direct-to-fan marketing and direct-to-fan relationships, right? Because that's what it's always been at the end of the day. We just don't have, where we have the ability to post to mass media, right? There's not a massive marketing budget behind that as well.
There's almost none.
Right. There is no, I mean, unless you got it. Yeah, unless you got it. And realizing that was how hits were made, right? Marketing campaigns was how hits were made, and that's what turned it out. Having some talent, yes. Having, those things, yes. But marketing is what makes a big song carry you far. The problem is that there's just no money in it anymore, right? The mechanical royalties and all of those things have pretty much dried up. Sync has killed everything. It's just a different market, and what it is that there's no one way how to do it either, and that's what's really cool about being inside of an org and different communities like we are, is we can see the different people that are making it out there playing music. Some people are writing scores and doing composing, some people are teaching lessons and things on the side, and it's fine. Or some people are hosting podcasts, right?
For sure, yeah.
That we're all just trying to find our way to fill in all this gap, because the media landscape around music has changed as well. I mean, I'm pretty much serving the function of what Rolling Stone did years ago, right? But because they no longer kind of serve that community, and because communities have gotten smaller by the advent of the internet, right? Where the world is wide open, but it's actually made your world a lot smaller. You have a fewer people that you have fewer people that you communicate with.
You live in a bubble world because of your own algorithmic whatever, and so it just kind of pushes you into the same kind of thing over and over again,
which makes the mission for us right. Well, and what makes the mission for us is how do we infuse ourselves into your bubble and then hang around there, right? And then we're your favorite artist, you know, and that's what I'm trying to get through people. And I was trying to explain that even at the Songfest this weekend, as like, you know, for a lot of you people, you have a favorite artist and you're like, oh my God, I love Pink, or I love, you know, Lainey Wilson, and Lainey's great. But like my favorite artists are on stage with me. Right. My favorite artists are playing at the venue across the street. Like those are my favorite artists. Those are the people that I'm listening to, and national acts don't get a whole lot of radio play in my world at all. That's my bubble. Right. So with the show, we're trying to bring them into that. And then we just keep meeting great guys like you, Bryan. And
I appreciate that, man.
And we all get to hang out in this bubble together. Right. So I think that's a great analogy. I think it's a great analogy.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
So we got the new album, Whiskey Will Never Leave Me. Do you have a date set that's coming out?
So 3 of the songs have been released. They were released on October 17th. And it's the title song, a song called Ghosts of Caroline, and then a song called Let's Make New Memories. And like I said, they're all kind of that songwriter kind of country, kind of Americana kind of vibe. And then I don't know when the next release will be yet. A lot of why I'm releasing it in this strategy is because of money.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I have the songs done. I just am I'm demoing all of them out. I have 3 more demos done. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
Another thing, the amount of work that it takes to book and do all that kind of stuff on top of writing and then on top of producing and on top of, because I do a lot of my own production, and I do a lot of I play most of the instruments on a lot of my records and stuff like that at this point. So it's just a lot. Composing all that, doing all that work is just a lot. So the next 3 songs I have demoed out, done. I just need to get in a studio and actually record them. So I don't know when those will be done yet, but I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants here, just kind of releasing it as I go. But I really do. I love what I came out with the first 3. I love how they turned out. When I went in the studio, I got to work with a friend of mine named Warren Thornton, who became a friend of mine after this because we just really vibed together over this. And he played guitar and some drums and some bass on this record. And he did a great job. He's a Nashville guy, and I just had a lot of fun with him. And then, dude, it's just great, man. I've just been having a lot of fun doing my own thing and like not having to answer to anybody and just like making what I feel at the time. So it's been a good time.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that our paths have crossed now. I think they're going to cross a lot more. Springfield ain't that far away from South Dakota, and I got a bunch of friends in between you and me. So maybe we'll try to hook up and play some shows out on the road together. How's that sound?
Sounds great, brother.
That's great. What I'm talking about. Well, thanks for giving me a few minutes today, man. I'm glad you made it back after a wonderful weekend there for Wild West Songwriters Festival. We're looking forward to hearing the rest of the songs for now. So we can find you, Bryan Copeland, on Spotify and all the rest of the streaming.
Yeah, and it's Bryan with a Y. And you can find anything about me on bryancopelandmusic.com.
Excellent. Excellent. We'll have a link.
You know, all of the different stuff.
Yeah, man. We'll have a link in the description, all that stuff. And yeah, we're really looking forward to, continuing to use our podcast to introduce you to our fans, but also to introduce you to your fans, right? This stuff is just as much your content as it is ours. And I think a lot of things you said today were very valuable for our audience, Bryan. So I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see you back out here.
It sounds great, man. It was great talking to you. Very much appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. And everyone else, we'll catch you next time on The Scene. Thank you for listening. Remember to follow us on all your social media channels. And follow our continuing coverage at patreon.com/The Scene Projects. Sign up for our email list and make yourself part of The Scene.